Hi, I'm Elle, and because it's December, of course we're going to be talking about the one and only John Kuckian. I also want to start with a very serious warning that this video contains discussions and footage of really dark topics, and no, that isn't just a joke at John's expense this time, so watch your own risk. As you probably know, John has finally decided to upload the story time that he's been teasing for months.
This isn't going to be about any person or people in particular. There's going to be no names, no identifying information or anything like that.
How is it a story time if it's not about any particular person? Yes, it is about a particular person. We all know it is. Stop that nonsense. Now, I could sit here and wade through the video to debunk John's lies, but to be honest, most of it's old tea, and I'm not going to rehash other people's excellent videos when you can go and watch them yourselves. There's no need for it. What's happening right now, when you really think about it, is a really bizarre and completely backwards situation. John teased a so-called story time. Beauty with Ashley debunked it months back. Margot Indigo has very recently posted a video that's debunked even more of it. And now John has posted a video that's almost an hour long. So if you watch all those videos in chronological order, John's video is completely out of time and makes even less sense. You know all the Star Wars fans that have arguments about which order you should watch the films in so the overall story makes the most sense? Now I have a drama version apparently. John's video doesn't add anything. It's like a bizarre prequel where the chief writer has decided to add in even more backstory that true fans know doesn't make any sense.
I get messages all the time from people saying, come and stay with me. I'm happy to pay some money, it's not like, Kuckian's free hotel. Like, obviously I have money, I'm happy to pay people for anything. Even with my makeup, for example, I pay for all my photographs, whether I'm hiring someone or whether I'm licensing an image, everything is always very paid for. It's just part of my culture to always pay people for their work.
Part of your culture is following the law. John has to pay for those things. It's not about culture, it's called not being a thief. But anyway, like I said, instead of John Kuckian rowling there, suddenly deciding that Dumbledore was always gay even though there was nothing in the original books that said so, he's decided to casually add in that the woman that Margot has dubbed as Lily was going to be on her way to Dignitas in Switzerland to end her life, and that he had magically saved her by living in her house.
So anyway, I spoke to this person, I called them, it was the husband emailing me on behalf of the wife. The wife said to me on the phone, that very day, she'd given all of her designer clothes to her husband and told her to send it to an outreach centre or something, because she was about to catch a flight to Switzerland. And she told me that she was about to go and kill herself and she was going to document the journey. I was a bit confused because I know that, there is like a euthanasia clinic in Switzerland and stuff, but I'm pretty sure that's for people with like long-term debilitating illnesses. I didn't know you could just go there to, just do that. That was what was said to me on the phone. I was obviously a bit shocked, and this person then said to me, it's such a crazy situation because I just said goodbye to all my stuff. But then I saw your message in your video and I watch you every single day religiously, and that was the moment where I was like, oh my god, just became excited for life again. And I felt like my life had meaning. So at the time, I didn't really see it as I was just naive. I didn't really see it as emotional blackmailing. I just saw it as oh, that's intense but sweet, I guess. At the time, the alarm bell should have really gone off, and usually my gut instinct is quite strong, but in this situation obviously it wasn't.
It's obvious that he's talking about Dignitas because that's the world famous assisted suicide charity that's located in Switzerland, and that isn't how it works at all. Nobody can just jump on a plane, fly to Switzerland and then get help killing themselves. If you take 2 seconds to Google Dignitas, they even have a helpful FAQ section that quickly debunks what was said. Question: I suffer from a mental illness and or psychological problems, like Lily would have to allegedly have if she decided to end her life, but somehow having John in her home gave her a new will to live apparently. Can Dignitas arrange an accompanied suicide for me? Answer: this is a very difficult, a lengthy and complex proceeding with many obstacles, and there is no guarantee to receive the provisional green light for an accompanied suicide. It depends much on the quality of the medical file. Clear diagnosis of the illness, description of its cause and development, proof of all therapies tried, with or without success, plus an in-depth psychiatric appraisal concerning the capacity of judgment and discernment in the regard of the wish for a self-determined end of life, also confirming that this wish is not a symptom of the psychiatric illness, but a well-considered, balanced decision. Lily would have to be in treatment. She would have to consult with Dignitas. Dignitas would have to see the medical files. Dignitas would have to carry out their own psychiatric investigation. It's a long, arduous process, not a fun little documentary, and John throwing this in there is absolutely gross. This is honestly one of the cases where there is no way for John to look good in this situation, even though he tries so hard to pretend to be the naive knight in shining armour. If this is a lie, it's just so obviously a lie, then John is making light of suicide and mocking Lily. It's a disgusting tactic that's used to paint her as someone horrendously unstable. He's always been vile though, so what can I say? But okay, let's pretend for a second that his claims about Lily are true. She was going to hop on a plane and go to Dignitas to end her life, and he thought that it was... what, again?
I just saw it as like, oh, that's intense, but sweet, I guess?
Excuse me? He'd supposedly just heard that a fan of his was right in the middle of packing up her life to kill herself, and that she's unstable enough to decide that life's worth living again if he stayed with her, and that story is intense but sweet, he guessed. Sorry, but if John wants to pretend that that's true, then he's just outed himself not as naive, but as someone that was happy to prey upon a fan of his that was clearly very, very mentally ill, all because he liked the sound of the amenities. He didn't even pretend to care about her mental state. He just shrugged it off. So which is it, right? Either John is lying and making light of suicide and suicidal thoughts to paint Lily as insane and untrustworthy, which is even more vile when you remember that he created a closed Facebook group for spoonies back on the 12th of December 2016. Let's just quickly demonise people with mental illnesses, right? Unless the demographic is useful to abuse for subs and views, of course. Or again, John is telling the truth and he cares so little about the mentally ill that he was happy to ignore Lily's alleged issues to go to her fancy home and use her expensive things. He had her phone number, her full name, her address, and he didn't report something so obviously serious. But, you know, Lily has an expensive lifestyle, and I suppose John couldn't pass that opportunity up, could he? John can't pass up an opportunity to call Lily an abuser again either, throwing up the same screenshot about domestic violence laws a few times. By the way, that screenshot doesn't actually belong to John. That's stolen from a slideshow created by the law offices of Joel Silberman LLC, that John couldn't be bothered to credit, because John just wanted to reinforce the lie that Lily is an abuser. He could take a screenshot and add a blue filter over it, but not credit where it came from in his description, apparently. There's so much nonsense and rambling in John's video that I'm honestly not going to waste my time going through it. Seriously, if you want to waste almost an hour of your life that you'll never get back, then watch his video, then go back and watch Ashley and Margot, and they debunk all of that. It's honestly incredible to me that John thought that this video was a good one to publish. Like, he honestly thought that he hadn't already been debunked. That blows my mind. I mean, his lies go from Lily is an abuser to deliberately trigger her, knowing that she was actually a victim of serious domestic violence as proven in Margot's latest video. Not by her husband, I want to add in there. Both Lily and her husband are innocent here. To try to dramatise that Lily's house was in the middle of nowhere. Well, maybe I'm being a bit harsh. John's used to cities. Maybe it just shows how incredibly incompetent he is, not bothering to even type the address sent to him in Google Maps to get a feel for the area first. How's that for a top investion? But this is what he does in the video. John also knows that despite being a genuinely beautiful woman, Lily explained that she was insecure about her appearance, yet John deliberately put up an ugly cartoon character to represent her. That's disgusting and obviously another attempt to trigger and belittle her. Excuse me being sidetracked a second, because aside from these big lies, the worst lies, John tells idiotic lies that are easily missed too. It's like he has a fetish for them.
It was a weird situation to be in, because in England that kind of stuff never happens. Like, you would never have someone that beeps the horn every single time they drive down their street to piss off their neighbours. Like, it's just... Do you know what I mean? Like, in England, to piss off your neighbours, you would start your car late at night, then that's it. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was very, like, shocking to me.
Yeah, it does happen. It happens anywhere and everywhere in the world where there are cars, because there are bad neighbours and badly behaved people everywhere. John has lived in major cities in England where people are notoriously rude. What was the point of that lie?
It was very, like, shocking to me. And the same thing happened with, like, this is another thing, like... Another thing I completely forgot to mention when I was filming this was there was another time we were walking to get like a Starbucks drive-thru, because she obviously has this like half-naked Instagram, and there was a guy that had emailed her with like a Starbucks gift card, and so she was like, right, we're going for Starbucks. I don't know exactly what was happening, but she was just driving with two fingers up pointing as she was driving towards all the people like in this shopping centre, and there was like an older couple that we were driving past, and it was so awkward. Like, it wasn't like anything had actually happened, like no one had beeped or done anything rude. She was just driving with two fingers up towards everyone, like the same thing with the beeping going down the street and like swerving all over.
You know who sticks up two fingers to be rude? British people. You know who doesn't? Americans. John edited this mini-story into his overall story time as a tactic to try and push the Lily is just a horrible person to everyone narrative, and obviously thought that he was being really clever, but it's such an obvious lie that it's embarrassing at this point. What's a story without accusations of animal abuse though, right? Because John has to have that too.
I can't remember exactly, but I think there was 6 or so dogs in this house, and they were all locked in cages. These cages were so small. Like there was 2 of the cages that were a good size, like a really decent size, because I don't know if it was a bigger dog or not, but the other cages were really tiny.
Again, this is a no-win situation for John. Either it's a lie and he's making light of animal abuse, which makes him disgusting, or it's the truth and he sat back and did nothing whilst dogs were suffering trapped in tiny cages. And I personally don't believe it was the second one. But really, it's just so bizarre. John is so desperate to show himself off as a victim at all times that it's honestly just sad. Like I've said before though, a lot of this video is old tea, so there's no point in me debunking the same lies that have been debunked before. The domestic violence accusations against Lily are false. Just like the paedophilia accusations against Peter Mon were false. Just like the grooming accusations against Thomas Halbert were false. Just like the grooming accusations against Jacqueline Hill were false. Just like the accusations against Alexis Stone were false.
What happened with you and John Kuckian? I heard some things, but I don't fully know what happened. Please answer this. I'm going to say about a year ago, I discovered his YouTube channel, and I personally was horrified by some of the things he was saying about people, and having had no prior communication with him, I just blocked him. I just thought, I don't want to see his negative comment. I don't think that there should be a place on the internet for certain people. I then received an email from him asking why I blocked him. I obviously did not respond to that, and as soon as the Miss Fame drama happened, he was the first person to report on the drama, and instead of just reporting on the drama with facts, he decided to turn it into some sort of twisted, comedic skit, and within reporting on what I did say, he added some fabricated information. Months went past, a brand that I work with uploaded a video onto YouTube, and amongst the comments on the YouTube video, there was a huge backlash where people were saying to the brand, how can you work with this person? John has said that he has a harassment restraining order against him for child or sexual grooming of a child. Now, that is when I decided to call the police. What you guys need to remember is brands do very vigorous background checks on all artists they work with. Whilst the brands know that these are all false allegations, I did not feel comfortable with people thinking, not only did someone have a restraining order against me, which is completely untrue, that I have harassed people, which is completely untrue, and that I have done anything regarding sexual violation of a child. That just blew my mind. So I rang the police visited my house, I showed them the video content in which he said that a restraining order was made against me. The police said that that is a criminal offence, and it goes past the point of slander, it is a hate crime, and it's false incriminating allegations. The police rung John, in which he said that he works for a charity for those that have been bullied, and he apologised for reporting on false information. It was left at that. I presumed that would be the end of it. I just wanted to clear my name. I posted all of my police records. I updated everyone regarding the entire situation. I have proven that his allegations against me were lies.
John has a history, and I'm not quite sure that the police would just want to have a friendly chat with him if they had to meet him a second time. The thing is, if the story that he told was entirely true, then like he told Ashley, it shouldn't be a chit-chat story time for his subscribers to enjoy. It's a heavy, serious topic. And either it's all a complete lie to victimise himself, or he doesn't care about domestic violence victims and thinks that they're a joke. John just cannot help but play himself. like right near the end of that video.
This was definitely one that I didn't really feel like talking about, and I definitely need some time. And it's a shame that something so traumatic that's being circulated by someone that's obviously suffering with some sort of illness, like of some sort, that isn't being shady whatsoever, because I take mental health very seriously. Like, there's obviously something happening. The fact that it's like capitalized on and used as like tea and stories and stuff like that, it's, you know, people are going to do what, like, it's like the law of attraction. The energy that you put out there is what's going to come back to you. So if you like leave nasty comments on someone's video, for example, that same energy just comes back to you and you receive the same negativity back. Do you know what I mean? And it's very important for me to stay away from that stuff as much as possible. I just prefer to. I'd rather deal with things professionally. But I just thought, why not just open up and tell you about this, because it's just one of those things where for the past 2 years, whenever things have happened, I just kept quiet because I'm just like, just move on, be professional. But I just thought, why not give you a story time?
So it's terrible that other drama channels have called John out for him abusing a couple in their home, as well as his threats of releasing his story for months now, because it shouldn't be tea, because John cares about mental illness. But at the same time, it's fine to make an almost hour-long video to mock mental illness and demonise someone that he wronged. Sure, okay, John. His delusions are ridiculous.
The only reason I'd ever talk about this stuff is because other people bring it up and try and use it against me, and it's just, this type of thing was so traumatic when it was happening. And to be honest, it's been really horrible having drama channels set out to make tea and story times and make money and capitalize from a story like this, because it was something that was genuinely traumatic. Like, that's not tea, that's not beauty tea, that's not a copied palette. Like, that's a genuine trauma in someone's life that they've had to experience and go through and survive, and for that to then be blasted across the internet when it shouldn't be in any respect, it's just evil and it's horrible, and there's no excuse for that.
Joke's on John, I'm not monetized. Joke's on John again, because the reason that other drama channels talk and have talked about him is because John is so toxic that it's a way to prevent others from being hurt by him. If Lily had known the kind of information that other drama channels had previously put out about him, then she and her husband would not have offered their home to him. They would have been safe, they wouldn't have been doxxed, they wouldn't have been seriously triggered. And I'm sorry, but this is important. There are still people that believe that John is a victim, and they'll support him when he deserves to be condemned for all of his behaviour.
But my overall spirit, especially now more than ever the past year or so, I've really hollowed out, and I've become much more aware of my energy I'm putting out and what I want to receive back. I'm making much better decisions for myself, and I'm way happier. And now when people spread rumours about me and say nasty things, like, I don't take it ultra personally. Like, I managed to take a step back and think, what's happening in this person's life to take them on this journey that they would start coming up with these things. And I just hope if you ever see horrible things happening, you can do the same thing instead of taking it personally towards yourself or anything like that. Always just look at the person that's doing it and just see the reason why, because happy people don't hurt people. It's that simple. If you're happy in life, things happen. You don't talk shit, you don't go spreading stories, you don't set out with the intention of destroying someone.
The irony there, the absolute irony there. But I'm so glad that John's been doing well this year, and he's oh so happy. At least that's what he claims here. So originally I was just going to go through that storytime video of his and point out the pointless lies and how much he managed to embarrass himself by posting a prequel that made no sense, but then John decided to drop another video to talk about changes that he wanted to make for 2019, where he managed to expose another lie by omission that he's told. In the comments section of his storytime video though, he wrote and pinned, "Let's address the tap water scandal. I do not drink tap water because the added chlorine, etc. gives me some redness in my skin. This is very common. I occasionally have an ice cube in my drink and deal with it. The same goes with gluten. It makes me bloat like a pufferfish, but now and then I have pizza and deal with the pain. Not once have I ever said that I am allergic to all water. You literally see me drinking water in my videos, Lamau. Some people are so desperate for tea about me. Why are you so obsessed with me? They're saying that I lie about having an allergy to all water, of which I couldn't think of anything more stupid. This tea is so stale." The tea is stale because that wasn't what was said.
Accommodated all of his weird-ass requests and requirements, one of which being, and I shit you not, a tap water allergy. So, in the entire world, in all of recorded medical history, there are only 40 cases of a water allergy. Ever. John, you are not one of those 40 people. You adopted a false affliction that, of course, would require special treatment, and not just when going to fancy restaurants, but from every single person around you at any given time.
John allegedly told Lily and everyone that he came across that he couldn't drink tap water, and Lily was adamant that John went on and on about how he was allergic to tap water. But In his video about 2019, he contradicts himself.
I've learned so much. I know you can probably teach me things as well, without a doubt, but I really want to share with you some of my lessons, especially things like my skin. Getting clear skin was such a journey for me. Cutting out tap water as much as possible, focusing on having bottled water has cleared my skin up so much.
So the reason that John avoids tap water is just a skincare issue. The problem is that he was alleged to be an attention seeker for no reason over it. In the comment that he wrote, he deliberately went into how he seems to apparently be allergic to gluten, since he says he has pain with it, which is a blatant tactic to make readers think that his issue with tap water is much more serious than it actually is. He was being a diva is basically the tea there. No one is surprised. But aside from that, John has a list of 18 things that he wants to change in 2019. That could be something good, right? Let me just read through them for you to save your time. 1. Get control of his weight/food. 2. Re-niche. 3. Stable content even if it's more infrequent. 4. More channels. 5. Show the world who he really is. 6. Be happier. 7. Do more things. 8. Trust no one. 9. Appreciate and meditate. 10. Don't accept unhappiness. 11. Be true to himself. 12. Rebrand. 13. Let the truth out when it's time. 14. New backdrops. 15. Funny edits. 16. Become more inspired. 17. Think more about making his audience laugh. 18. Showcase a better side of life. It's not worth your time in my opinion, especially considering the repeats in there. He even comes out with hilariously outrageous statements that I had to re-listen to just to see if it wasn't some kind of fever dream.
I just want to make friends with people. I just want to have good relationships with people. I don't want to have beef and fights with people. I'm bored of it. I had it briefly for a few years ago and I'm over it now. I just want to focus on positivity and happiness, and what other people decide to do is their business, but I genuinely don't want any beef with anybody. Even recently I've spoken about like stuff that's happened in life and I don't have beef with those people. I'm just like, no, I'm over it and done with it. Negativity and done by. Like, it's just horrible to have to surround yourself with that regardless of what other people are doing.
John's over the drama, is he? He means like dropping a pointless voice note from Here for the Tea that was designed to make her look as though she was plotting against him, even though the note just proves that she didn't like misinformation about him going round and was being a good friend to him. Or how about John spreading malicious gossip about Ashley Kyle's friends to try and upset her? On the 9th of December, John tweeted, "The moral is, if you are a drama channel, other channels will make up stories to try and distance you from other channels they don't want you to associate with. It can be the nastiest things they'll claim that you've said, etc. But it will never be true and there will never be evidence. There was a girl called Ashley who I actually liked. Her best friend was telling me that she used to strip and left her baby in the side room. Did I believe that? Of course not. But suddenly that person heard from the same shit stirrer that I had been making up rumours about her." But just remember that John is totally above all the drama and just wants to make friends. As if, John. There's been a bit of back and forth about how honest John was in that video, particularly him stating that he wasn't friends with Karina Kaboom anymore, and discussions about whether he was emotionally manipulating his audience, or even the confusion about his parents.
And I just moved to London. I left home when I was 17. Like, no support, no nothing. All the money in my bank was made from working, and I was like, done. Bye.
So John left home at 17 with no support at all. What a horrible family he has. But let's think. Since John was born in November 1994, he would have been 17 in November 2011. I guess he would have had to have left home after the 22nd of July 2012, considering it seems that he was still at home taking pictures of his brother for him and doing modelling and art then. If he's had such a rocky relationship with his parents, why did he send this to me in his statement for my last video? "You may not know this, but I am financially responsible for both of my parents' mortgages since they both fell sick in 2017. I don't talk about this online as I value my privacy, but my priority is really looking after both of them, which is why I never engage with rumours or any craziness online." Just as a reminder, that email was sent to me on the 30th of October this year. If both of John's parents basically abandoned him, where he felt so terrible that he had to move to London to escape from his family, why suddenly bring up how terrible their relationship was? If it was that bad, why help them now? Or if John's forgiven them and they've all moved on, why share how horrible they must have been when they're apparently so sick right now? And, well, if they are so sick and John's looking after their mortgage and looking after them, why did he go for a jaunt to the US in the first place? I can't wrap my head around it, but maybe that's just me. In John's second video, the emotions seemed real, to me at least. And when I say emotion, I mean the barely suppressed misery. But why is that? There are always comments on YouTube and on Twitter that ask the same question over and over and over again, which is, why does John start drama around the holidays? What is it about December that makes John want to jump at others so hard? I mean, we'll never know, but what I do find interesting is that John first incorporated his business, Kuckian Limited, only 6 days after his older, much more successful brother created his own business. You'll have to take my word for that, even though it is public record, because I don't want to send anything John's brother's way. What I can tell you is that John was part of an Italian exhibition back in 2015, which was a great achievement, but he keeps reaching for things that just do not work out for him. There's still no reference of John's Kuckian Foundation charity on the Charity Commission, so unless I can start saying that the L Foundation is in effect every time that I give some money to an actual charity, I do wish that John would knock that off. But okay, timeline. Kuckian Limited was incorporated on the 9th of December 2013. Kuckian Cosmetics was incorporated on the 27th of February 2017. Kuckian Limited, the first one, as of December 2017, had £6,730 in the bank with £4,608 in fixed assets. I'll be honest and tell you guys that I know absolutely nothing about balance sheets for businesses, so it's all just a bunch of numbers to me. You guys figure out what's happening there. But in November 2017, John was pushing his lollipop moulds where his company there was called Heaven's Kitchen with My Holistic. The moulds are no longer available and the website only managed to get to the soon stage before being dumped completely. But the only company that most people are interested in is Kuckian Cosmetics, obviously. After all, John even personally said to me in an email that business is booming for him. If you want to subject yourself to my other video about John, then please bear with the fact that it was one of my first ever videos, and yes, I spoke too slowly. Anyway, you can check there that this quote is legitimately from John, because unlike certain other people out in the world, naming no names at all, I don't feel the need to fake receipts. Anyway, John said, "At our first launch, we sold out of our lipsticks in minutes, which left many people sad." So, obviously, he has to be doing very well for himself. John has said over and over again that he's passionate about his makeup brand, after all. Which begs the question, what on earth happened to make the government think that Kuckian Cosmetics might need to be struck off the business register back in May of this year? As you can see, there's a reference to the Companies Act 2006, Section 1000, subsection 3. Section 1000 is about the power to strike off company not carrying on business or in operation. Subsection 3 then says, if the registrar A receives an answer to the effect that the company is not carrying on business or in operation, or B does not within 14 days after sending the second communication receive any answer, the registrar may publish in the Gazette and send to the company a notice that at the expiration of 2 months from the date of the notice the name of the company mentioned in it will, unless cause is shown to the contrary, be struck off the register and the company will be dissolved. Which what I take to mean is that the registrar thought that Kuckian Cosmetics wasn't doing anything and shouldn't be registered as a business. John cleared that up, but it's a bit odd that he's so adamant that Kuckian Cosmetics is doing so amazingly when the government thought it was dead. Again, I know nothing about business, so maybe it's nothing, but I personally found it interesting. No, what's much more alarming about this particular business is that Kuckian Cosmetics accounts are officially overdue. They were supposed to be added on the 27th of November at the very latest. And sure, it takes a little time for computers and servers to upload new public information, but when there's big red writing on the screen announcing that the accounts are well overdue, then there's a problem. According to what I can make out, John owes £150 in fees as of this moment due to this supposed oversight. I mean, I guess that John's been busy with his latest launch and everything, but John needed to file Kuckian Cosmetics accounts by the 27th of November at the latest and didn't, but he did update Kuckian Limited's official address on the same date. At least, that's how it looks to a completely clueless person like me. Why do one and not do the other at the same time? Especially when the first one is much more important. Surely, you'd want to brag about his success to all the haters out there, right? But here's a conspiracy theory for you. Considering that John is under so much scrutiny for his abhorrent behaviour, and since it seems as though he wants to make us all believe that he's doing amazingly well, it makes sense that he would dread making his accounts public, because all of this is public information. John has to file and clearly state just how much money Kuckian Cosmetics has in cash, how much the items that the company owns are worth, and things like that. So if the money is lower than he's been boasting, it also makes sense that he'd want to hide that failure from his detractors. I mean,
2019 is going to be a good year. I'm making much better decisions. It's going to be hard. It's going to be high risk, which isn't always a good thing. When I was younger it was, but recently it hasn't been. Not over the past couple of years. High risk has been high loss every single time.
That sounds like a reference to his businesses to me. So maybe that's the answer. Maybe that's why. He started his journey in December 2013 and he thought he'd get much further than he has. He thought that he'd be famous and rich, but instead he's one of the most hated people on YouTube, all thanks to his own greed, selfishness and petty envy. He should have stuck to painting. That at least he was decent at. I don't get it myself, but that's a better talent than allegedly lying every single time that he opens his mouth. On a much more serious note, the truth is that no matter what John does, there will always be people that despise him. But if John could just own up to all the bad things that he's done, that he's put out there, if he could understand what he's done wrong and genuinely apologise and want to make it better, then there's hope for him. There's hope for everyone. But he refuses to see that. He refuses to admit that he's anything but a victim. Until he changes, until he actually wants to make amends, then I won't have any sympathy for him. I'm sorry, that's just how it is. So John, if you're watching this, drop the victim sock and switch places with everyone that you've had issues with. Understand why people are angry at you. Realise that you have to change. Apologise and mean it. Then move forward. Because I don't know if I can personally forgive you. But for what it's worth, I would genuinely respect you if you could do all of those things. But I don't think that you will. Because I don't think that you have the courage. But please, prove me wrong. I would like that. But if you don't want to listen to me, maybe listen to yourself.
I just hope that you can see when something is happening that's wrong. I hope you can recognise that things are going too far with certain things. And I just hope generally people can take a step back and see when things are going too far and realise, you know what, there's much more interesting topics out there to talk about that have substance, that can make a difference, instead of just making up lies about someone that just haven't happened, because ultimately that's not going to make me a better person.
And that's all that I have to say. Well, that and...
Stop fucking up like this.
Now that was going to be the end of the video, but apparently John and his stans are very salty over me and my tiny drama channel. A few of my subscribers sent me tweets that he put out there, and they're honestly just sad. John posted an email that he was allegedly sent about me, which reads, "Hey John, I've tried to message you on Twitter. I hope you're okay and you won't be bothered by this message. There's a drama channel called Elle Loves Tea who is obsessed with you. In one tweet a while ago, she implied you were a pedo. She also goes by the name of Krusty Cosmetics on Guru Gossip, and she's done 200 plus posts about you on there. I know it's her, as she repeats the same stuff and phrases that she uses on videos and Twitter. I'm shocked by the amount she's going at you. I hope you get these people, I really do." Along with his caption of, "200 plus posts later, why are you so obsessed with me?" And another tweet saying, "Seriously though, I could not imagine spending every day on a gossip website talking about someone who barely knows you exist. I will never understand that." John, can you please stop outing yourself as the world's worst investigator? It's really embarrassing. But alright. Back on the 29th of November, I tweeted, "Not naming names for legal reasons, but let's be real here. If someone constantly accuses random people of paedophilia/grooming with no basis or manipulation, it seems to me that it would be projection. I can guess who the real person with paedophilic tendencies is." A subscriber, Mary Beth Wiley, responded, "Agreed. And sexual assault? How many times can they scream that before you wonder if something's going on to friends, family, children?" And I replied, "Absolutely. Obviously we're talking about this in general and not specifically talking about anyone in particular. But if, hypothetically, this were a real situation, then the person making false accusations constantly, either guilty of predation or has fantasies about doing it." I think that it's rather worrying that a stan of John's read my tweet and automatically thought of him, to be honest. I personally didn't mention John at all, and I'm not sure why John would want to attach a very vague tweet that went on to mention Joss Whedon's fake feminism and me clarifying that it was all hypothetical either. But let's debunk the rest of the alleged email to John. I've been very open with the fact that I have a very serious visual impairment. With my disability, I use my laptop for everything, so I can increase the font size and use magnification to try and, do that thing that we call seeing. It's how I have to personally cope to be as supposedly normal as possible. It takes a lot of time and energy to keep up with things like Twitter. It also isn't a secret, and I've mentioned it quite a few times. So please explain to me how I could possibly be someone on Guru Gossip that obviously uses their phone to type and share their receipts. It'd be a lot easier if I could use the internet on my phone, but sorry, no dice. My rubbish eyes won't allow it. Aside from that, I've been a proficient touch typer since I was 17. Typos and the misuse of ellipsis physically pains me, as really sad and pathetic as that probably sounds. Plus, everyone knows that I don't believe that the disgusting trolls that appeared on Twitter and YouTube were John. I just don't. I've been open saying that I don't believe they were him. John also definitely knows that. So, come on. Finally though, John, don't pretend as though you haven't been stalking what I've been doing since I had something like 300 subscribers. You were angry enough about my other video about you to post a Snapchat to make a knockoff version of yourself in The Sims after I asked for a statement and showed you my sim version of you.
I'm trying to make myself on Sims, but it's so hard to make perfection.
So again, John, I'm begging you.
Stop fucking up like this.
Think about it. As always, like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell, or don't do any of those things because I'm not your mother. And, as we say in The Sims, dag dag!